Good morning, and we're going to continue our study about the rapture of the church, and we've been talking about the differences of the church and the nation of Israel or Yasharel, and also explaining about the Gentiles and the differences of these groups of people. So most of the misunderstandings about end time prophecy is because people have gotten these groups of people mixed together, and in some cases, they've they mix the church up with Israel or Yasharel, or they do just the opposite of that. But in the eyes of our Creator, He has a plan that He is implementing throughout the earth, and He's going to fulfill promises that He's made in the Old Testament or the Tanakh to the nation of Yasharel. And He's also going to fulfill the promises that He's made to the church. I've mentioned in some of my past videos that the rapture was never promised to the nation of Israel. It was promised only to the church. And now Yahuwah made promises to Israel that He would one day come back to dwell with them and rule and reign with them from the city of Jerusalem. That he would live there with them forever. He also made a promise to the church that He would, and of course we're talking about the Messiah, Yahusha, made a promise to the church that He was going away to prepare a place for us, and that He was going to come back for us and to receive us unto Himself. Now again, this is not the second coming that He's talking about. He's talking about a receiving us unto Himself. He didn't say in that particular verses of John chapter 14, verses 1 through verse 3, that He was going to come and dwell with us. He said that He would come to take us to be where He was. And of course, we know where He is. He's now gone to be with the Father, and we know that where the Father dwells is in the Shamaim, or the heaven. And He's made a promise to the church that He was going to one day come back for us and receive us unto Himself. This is also supported by the fact of what Paul had to write about in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 13 through 18, where he also made reference to the fact that the dead in Messiah would rise first, and then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up. That's where we get the word rapture from. It's actually rapture is comes from the Latin word rapio, which comes from the Greek word harpazo. But again, it doesn't matter which word you use. It's the event itself is very well described in these verses, that we would be caught up together to meet Yahusha in the air, and so shall we ever be with Him. So as we unfold these end time scriptures, we have to keep in context who the verses are talking to, and don't get the church mixed up with Israel, or don't get Israel mixed up with the church. And if you keep those things separate, you'll be, and who the actual context of the verses are being spoken of, you'll understand end time prophecy a whole lot better, and you'll not be confused about when the rapture will take place. Most people are confused because again they lump these groups together, and that's why there is a lot of confusion about the timing of the rapture. I'm convinced the rapture will take place before Jacob's trouble, or because it's Israel's trouble. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. And so when Jeremiah talked about that there was coming a day where the nation of Yasharel, or Israel, talking about the trouble that they would go through. And I'm going to read a few from my notes here about this particular time frame, and then we'll pick up on some more things I want to get into in our next upcoming sessions. The tribulation, and I'll use the word tribulation, really the word tribulation is not in the scriptures pertaining to this time frame, except by the Messiah when He talked about that there would be great tribulation, the last part of the 7-year time frame of what we call Daniel's 70th week as well, because it's 7 years that Yahuwah has not fulfilled yet with the nation of Yasharel, which He will during this time frame. That's why the church will not be here during this time frame, because it's all about Israel. It's not about the church. The tribulation is focused on the Yahudim. That's the word for Jews, Yahudim, and Yasharel, or Israel, as you would know it in modern time is referred to as Israel, but in ancient times it was referred to as the nation of Yasharel. Turning to the Tanakh in the Old Testament, we find that in Jeremiah chapter 30, verses 4 through 6, that it's the time of Jacob's trouble, or Israel's trouble, and is compared in its sufferings to the birth pangs of a woman. In Ezekiel chapter 36, Ezekiel 26, verse 34, it is spoken of as the time when Israel shall pass under the rod. And in Ezekiel chapter 22, verses 19 through 21, we read how that Yahuwah is going to cast Israel into the melting pot, where they are to be refined as gold. See also Malachi chapter 3, verses 1 and through 3, and Zechariah chapter 13, verse 9. Daniel speaks of it as a time of trouble for his people, which are the Yahudim, or the Jews. You'll find that in Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. From these references, we see that the Great Tribulation is something that has to do with the Jewish people, and is a judgment through which they must pass as a refining process to fit them to again be Yahuwah's chosen people. Indirectly, the Gentiles nation would be affected by it, but the church, i.e. born again Jew and Gentile believers, will not participate, will not be here. The reason we won't is because this time frame is the time frame of Yahuwah's wrath that will be poured out upon the earth. The church being those that are Jews and Gentiles that have been born again by the Ruach HaKodesh, the set apart Holy Spirit, set apart Spirit. We have been justified, made righteous because of our faith and trust in the Mashiach, in his completed work, and Yahuwah sees us as righteous. He does not see the church as unrighteous. We are righteous because not of our own self-effort and works, but we are made righteous because of the completed work of the Mashiach, the Messiah. We're going to pick this up on our next session, so thank you for joining me this morning. And until then, Baruch haba b'shem Yahuwah, which is in Hebrews means blessed is he who comes in the name of Yahuwah. Our Messiah, Mashiach, declared that 2,000 years ago. He said, blessed, you won't see me until you say, blessed, or Baruch haba b'shem Yahuwah, blessed is he who comes in the name of Yahuwah. Until next time, shalom.